Joining me to talk high school football, you know who that is. It's our buddy Deion Imade, former OSU Cowboy, still does some work with the OSU Cowboys on radio, but now for several years. How many years have you been covering high school football for Cox Yorview now?
I want to say it's 5 years now. I think I started in 2015, so 5-year anniversary.
Yep, he's been around. He's been to some of the biggest games for the last half decade, and we're going to look at, week 0 is here. In some ways, it feels like it's been 3 years since we had football to cover, and in some ways, I can't believe we're actually here.
I was right there with you.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. Like, my producer called me last week and said, "Hey, man, we got games next week." And I was like, "Really?" It's like, oh, hallelujah.
Yep. And for that reason, we're going all in on high school football this week. So let's break it down. You know, we've said for years that we have the big four, the 4 teams in Class 6A1 here in Green Country. But really, you kind of have to extend it now to a big 5 and include Bixby, not only because of the 5 state titles in 6 years, but I wonder if they're not pretty much on equal footing with our big 4 teams. But let's start with the 6A1 teams. Owosso is the defending state champ. They've won 2 of the last 3 state championships. Bill Blankenship is still there. The staff has turned over a little bit. His defensive coordinator, Bobby Klink, is now the head coach at Sand Springs. So he's had some additions on that staff and, lost his quarterback 1 year ago, but still brings back quite a bit of talent up there in Owosso.
Yeah, anytime you go undefeated and you have the season that Owosso had, you're going to obviously pay for it the next season, because the reason you do that is because you have so much experience, so much talent. For them, though, luckily enough, they don't have a returning starting quarterback, but they do have a experienced offensive line. And anybody will tell you, when you have an experienced offensive line, it helps that team, like in abundance, because the new quarterback gets some time to, think and read through his progressions. The running backs have holes so you can control the game and the clock. It's going to be very important that offensive line steps up and leads this Owosso Rams team.
Yeah. They have some talent defensively as well. And by the way, on the quarterback situation, two transfers, 2 move-ins are battling for that job. I don't believe they named a starter just yet. Is there somebody on that defensive side of the ball who stands out above everybody else at Owosso?
Well, you got to look at Amon Triplett. The guy who had 8 sacks last year, 140 tackles. This guy was killing it on the defensive end for the Rams, and I don't think that it's going to slow down this year. He's got some offers, and it sounded like he made a slight commitment this offseason to Army. So it's going to be interesting to see what he has for us in store for a senior season.
Yep, and going to play a little bit more running back this year as well. So moving a really, really good athlete to that side of the ball. Number 2 in the state, according to most people, would be the Jenks Trojans, who have made the state championship game and lost each of the past 2 years. And they bring back way more talent than what is normal or typical for a Jenks team. This is a pretty experienced bunch for head coach Keith Riggs.
Yeah, it certainly is. You got to remember, last year, that team went through a lot of ups and downs, especially at the beginning of the season. They started off the season 1-3, and everybody in the state was like, what is going on with Jenks over there? But you got to remember, their schedule was pretty loaded in the beginning, and like it is this year, playing Bixby and Union, although the Texas team isn't traveling over here to come over and play, I think they filled that spot with an Arkansas team, so that should be an interesting start to the season as well. Schedule is loaded on the front end once again, but I think with all that experience coming back and with them having the success towards the end of the season, not winning the state championship game, but making it when they started off so rough, it put in a lot of confidence into those young players, and I think they'll have a better start to the season. And when you have a returning starting quarterback with Kittleman behind center, he's got all the tangibles that you see from a normal Jenks Trojan quarterback. I think they'll fare well, and that offensive line is looking pretty good as well, led by Logan Noble, the guy 6'6". Everybody's calling for his name because of his talents and his agilities and his abilities playing that left tackle position. I think this Jenks Trojan team has nothing to worry about, and they'll start off the season a lot better than they did last year.
Yeah, Nobles is one of those guys who can play at the highest level in college football. And for as long as I've been here and going back probably another 15 years before that, when Jenks has a returning starter at quarterback, you feel really, really good about their chances. Broken Arrow's got a lot of talent as well. They won the state title 2 years ago and came up short last season in the semifinals. Broken Arrow's bringing back some big-time talent as well.
Oh man, they have a lot of talent over there at BA. Again, another team with a starting quarterback coming back. Jake Raines did a good job of controlling and holding that line for the BA Tigers last year. This year is going to be the same, but a different season. And when you have, I've said this once and I'll continue saying, when you have a head coach that's a former offensive lineman, this team is going to run the ball and they're going to control the clock. That's what BA does. That's what they're known for. But the guys are going to do it are, Banks and Horn, the two guys in the backfield for the Tigers. Hey, Horn's got speed for days, and a lot of people are looking at him as the up-and-comer this year, and he's going to, take the state by storm. We'll see. It's going to depend on that offensive line and what BA can do. But big-time matchup for them this week coming up, with Bentonville West coming into town, ESPN national televised game, big time opportunity for this program to put their name on the map.
Yep. Number 4, according to most of the preseason polls, is Union. I got a chance to see them in an overtime scrimmage victory over Edmond Santa Fe Thursday night, I believe it was. Rovon Banks, who was so good for them down the stretch as they figured some things out late in the season, is back at quarterback. They have some talent elsewhere. What do you know about the Union Redskins coming into this year?
Man, Union is a team where there's some question marks. Let's not get that wrong. There's some question marks, but I'm still confident in what they can do on the field. When you have a guy like AJ Green in the backfield, recently committed to Arkansas, I talked to him recently as well on the show over at Your View. He is confident about what he can do this season. When you got a guy who can run a 10-3 100-yard dash as a freshman, that's speed to burn. And I say this Union team is going to go as far as AJ Green can carry him. Banks as well. He does everything that you ask from a high school quarterback, but he does the extra. When plays break down, that's when your defense should be really scared, because if he gets out of that backfield, he's a dangerous weapon as well.
All right, before we get to number 5 in our Big 5, the Bixby Spartans, let's stop right here at 6A1. Do you have a pick for who you think is going to come out on top? And by the way, I mean, this is difficult to project. Jenks started last year with a 50-point loss to Bixby and ended up playing Owosso to a 14-7 final score in the final game in December. It's a long high school football season. Fingers crossed that we can get through this thing during a pandemic. But who do you see winning the state championship if you can look into your crystal ball?
Man, this is a tough one, and it's harder than most years because normally I'm pretty definite about my pick, but I'm not this year. This one's up in the air because it's between, in my opinion, Jenks, Owosso, and BA. I think those 3 teams have all the talent they need and the X's and O's to get it done. But you know me, I'm more about the Jimmies and the Joes than the X's and the O's. And so the players that I think will be able to propel this team forward and get that next, gold ball, I think it might be BA. I think they're talented enough as far as on the defensive side and the offensive side to get it done. So right now they're my pick, but don't hold me to it. I still got time to change my mind. The season hasn't started yet.
We're recording on this thing. We have to hold you to it, Deion. That's how these things work. I'm going to go a little off the board myself. I just really like all the experience and the returning quarterback at Jenks. They're not starting the year number 1, and look, it's probably not wise to pick against Bill Blankenship. I believe as a high school coach, he's now won state championships in 5 of the last 6 seasons he's competed, and that goes way, way back. But I like the Jenks Trojans. I thought Keith Riggs really showed me something, keeping that team together last year. And by the end of the year, boy, they were playing at a level that was just so far from what it was back in August. So with all that experience coming back, I like the Jenks Trojans to hang yet another banner. Let's talk about the heavy favorites to repeat again in Class 6A2, the Bixby Spartans, who bring back not only probably the top quarterback running back duo in, I would say, the entire state, but maybe the number 1 quarterback and number 1 running back in the state period. And that, Mason Williams is the quarterback there. The production's incredible. I think it's 83 touchdown passes over just the last couple of years. And then the running back, Braylon Presley, just a junior, but, I think ran for 1,300 yards 1 year ago, and his brother is now at OSU, and his sister is, an NCAA champion sprinter at Ole Miss. I mean, the genes are good, and the kid's a player. I just love that duo. It's hard to imagine anybody beating Bixby in 6A2.
The thing that I love about Bixby is every year you find out about a new guy, and the new guy comes in and replaces the old one. I mean, the Presley brothers, Braylon's going to come in and carry the torch. He's an amazing athlete. I think a lot of people don't have him highly rated as he should be. I mean, people are talking about him because of the success that Bixby's having, but they don't know how extraordinarily good this kid is. I mean, just because of his size, I think he's not getting those big-time recruits as of yet. At the end of this season, he'll be getting them because he's going to be the focal point of this offense. I can't wait to see what he does and what he puts on film. I mean, his just sophomore highlights alone, the cuts, the vision, the explosiveness. Hopefully he's been inside that weight room this offseason so he can get stronger and run between the tackles a little bit more. But right now, hey, man, Presley is the dude. Arguably, in my opinion, one of the best running backs in the state. I think right now it's between A.J. Green and Braylon Presley. He's not really getting the accolades that he deserves right now, but that'll change at the end of the season. And then for the quarterback side, Mason Williams. He's that dude, man. He's that dude. Quarterbacks, in my opinion, from the ones that I've been around, they always have this subtle confidence about them that you can put them in any situation, in any element, and they will be fine. They'll have that cool smile on the face, nothing bothers them. Mason has that it factor from a top-notch quarterback, and hopefully he gets some of these records towards the end of the season, and he gets the accolations that he deserves as well, because not a lot of people are looking at him as far as recruiting because of his abilities and his size. But hey, this kid is a winner.